So today's little episode of SNHNSN is somehow only my second ever conspiracy topic. Seeing as how the first was a laugh riot, I expected much of the same this time around. But I suppose that the more somewhat reality-grounded threats on plate were more deserving of proper conversation than outright ridicule. We still have a laugh, but it's almost surprising that such polite discourse could be had by Chris and I. This week ran a tad lengthy, so I'm keeping this short and sweet. Enjoy.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic, Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Grenada, El Salvador too, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, and Guam, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam. Norway and Sweden and Iceland,
Hello.
Germany, now in one piece, Switzerland,
everybody.
Austria, Slovakia, Italy, Turkey, and Greece.
Good morning, kids.
Good.
Or should I say, good
morning.
after 8.
Good after 8. Where you said you are in Gary, Indiana?
Again.
And that is just down the street from Frank, Indiana, and which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from. Hi, my name is Pete Sanchez, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Mm.
Indeed. There's tons of weird places, and just south of Chicago.
Indeed. That though isn't a person's name, so.
No, but the one cool thing about this area though is that it's right at the tip. Just the tip. The tip of Lake Michigan. So this is like the area where one of the tips of the Michigan Triangle is as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I'm more a fan of the Michigan trapezoid, but that's because trapezoid sounds like freakazoid. And,
It does.
And I miss that
Rock,
show
baby.
so much.
I just like to jam on it.
Who's a freak
Freakazoid.
extraordinaire? Freakazoid. On his underwear. Freakazoid.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah.
I
That
don't-
Freakazoid. Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah, it was a great show, man. Steven Spielberg brought us that show. How crazy is that shit? That and the Animaniacs? What?
The Animaniacs, though, is so ahead of its time.
Oh, it's on a level all its own, where nothing. It's like nothing that came before it, and as far as I'm concerned, nothing that came after it was so absolutely absurd as Animaniacs. At the same time, Animaniacs was absolute non sequitur after non sequitur, insanity, absurdness, mixed with some of the most ridiculously intelligent writing and humor ever in a cartoon, which is super weird because totally for kids. Like they had, the odd joke here and there that was innuendo, especially with the whole "Hello Nurse" bit. But it was still something where you wouldn't mind your kids sitting down and watching the whole thing, and maybe they would think something was a little fishy about a line here or there, especially with goddamn Dot was just. Dot was an innuendo machine. She was nothing but tasting her cookie and weird shit like that.
Polka dot again.
Exactly. Oh man, I miss that show.
And just speaking of the clever jokes, you know where the name Dot actually came from? Why her name is Dot?
No, what's that?
Because the Warner Brothers, it's just the Warner Brothers. However, there is a period in that. So basically, she is she makes the abbreviation. She's the period in the WB. So
oh yes, indeed.
Dot.
That's the kind of it's so dumb. It's then genius humor about the show is that
it's who the fuck thought of that, and they pitched that and it went over just fine. Like, yeah, fuck it, that wow, wait a second, no, that's actually really clever.
Exactly. Oh my god. So anyway, god damn it, as well, I mean, I guess it's not that completely crazy that almost 5 minutes into the episode, Robert hasn't said a word.
Yeah, there's a reason for this.
Yeah,
we're just letting the kids think we've put him on punishment. Rule number 1.
That's right. See that, and that's the thing, is that Robert has been naughty. So Robert is in rule number 1 jail. He's here. He can hear everything we say, but he is not allowed to open that Appalachian flapper of his.
Appalachian flapper. That's a good one.
Thanks.
I like that.
So Rob couldn't be here this week with us because he's got upwards of 36 children, and at least 7 of them started football this week. Robert explained that to us without further clarification, so I don't know if Robert's like the coach, or if he's just like the ride, or if maybe he's creating some strange new permutation of football in which the kids use, I don't know, like week-old squash instead of a football, just to put a new spin on it.
Maybe
but
this kid's a towel boy, but he's still showing his.
His kid's the real life Bobby Boucher, except he's super hairy and has some extra nips.
Super hairy with extra nips. I'm trying to picture this kid right now, and I'm getting nothing but pure gold comedy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's some kind of sex crime. Just trying to picture it. So
I hope if a miniature robot ever listens to the show, he doesn't think that we're totally ribbing on him. No, we're ribbing on your dad.
Exactly. You've got to be cool if you can put up with Rob and have not murdered him in his sleep yet. So
well, yeah, that, and you're also just guilty by association. So I mean, and it's genetic association too. You can't get away from it just by saying, no, I don't like that guy anymore.
That's right, exactly. The Baba Robot runs strong in this one.
I fucking love that name too. It's so good.
Me too. It's the Baba Robot. I want one more, a ba or ta or ga or just something at the end, but it's just I can't find it yet. I'll find it.
Something to make it impossible to say 3 times real fast.
Yeah, or for Robert to say even once. Slow.
Yes, indeed. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I am His Majesty Chris Trismegistus the third.com or .com the third. I think it's .com the third.
No, it's the third.com. .com comes at the end, and well, unless you say / the third, which I mean could work. You could be His Majesty Chris Trismegistus .com / the third / Barrios, and that would work just fine with me.
Oh man, that's a mouthful.
And my good friends and family and just stalkers and whatnot, am Jason Rambo, and you are now, God forgive us, listening to another crazy goddamn Robert List episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Indeed, the UFOs, the conspiracies, hanging out with us 2 goofy bastards, and the Moitas.
That's right. There's, even though we were Robless on the James Abbott episode, we still had another person there. It didn't quite, really. It didn't click the whole nostalgia button that I think this is gonna click for us, because it's been a while since it's just been Chris and I, as, what are they called? Not a maitre d'. That's the guy that is snooty with the thin mustache that seats you at restaurants.
Concierge?
Masters of ceremony. We
Ah.
are two MCs with no DJ.
Indeed. Well, we got a hairy black ninja kitty.
And
Sometimes she does a little, you know.
And I mean, you will no doubt hear a dog bark or two while we're here. Melissa snores like crazy loud while I do the episodes.
So Melissa lets the dogs out. I see.
No, she does not, because Melissa goes to sleep the second I start talking on this show. Oh, baby.
Because your voice is so soothing.
Aw, Chris again. Just, you know, the other week when you were like, man, you do have a good voice. And like, that felt good, man. I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
You totally do.
Chris actually enjoys the tenor of my sweet word nuggets.
It's not until you slip in the word nuggets that that I remember sometimes who I'm talking to.
Indeed.
I'm thinking smooth jazz and then word nuggets. There's only so many people in the world. There's only like a small handful of people in the world that could slip the word nuggets into a statement or a sentence, and it could just go right on by, just continually as sexy as every other word. You're getting there, though. You're working on it. You're working on it.
I love doing shit like that, too. Like, that was some of my favorite shit to do, is just slip in shit like I'm like a third grader that's just suffered some kind of head injury. And just be speaking perfectly normal and intelligently as an adult, and then say, like, my tum-tum's gurgling or some shit like that, and just see if anybody ever grabs onto that. They usually don't, but it's a shame that Robert isn't here tonight, not just because, of course, we love Robert and he will be missed, but he is missing the number 2, the dose, the goddamn second episode that is Jason's Conspiracy. Crazy people are crazy and fuck 'em episode.
And we love these. We love these.
Oh, the first one was so much fun. So much fun. My only regret is that we're not going to be making fun of the French and Canadian.
I mean, I'm sure we can find a place for it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that sooner or later, you know, most of this episode, if not, well, no, I'd say most, takes place in Alaska, which is right up next to Canada. Technically, it's as far away from the French-Canadian part of Canada as you can be.
True.
But fuck you, French Canada.
Indeed.
Period.
Quebec can eat a dick.
The end. So, my crazy nutbag episode this week is about Project HAARP, which is not, like a father-son like project that they're building like an instrument in their garage. An instrument, by the way, that dates back at least 5,500 years, Chris.
For some weird metaphysical lady who thinks she's an oracle to put
Exactly.
this
Like she's in a
flowing dress on.
Oh, yes, I was about to say this flowy dress that actually seems to move. Like it's maybe even underwater, and you're like, we're not underwater, and she's all like, oh, and she's ding, bling, bling, and
Everyone
we're
is
loving
underwater
it.
when I play the harp.
And then your wife walks in, and she's like, who the fuck is this? And you're like, and then you push your wife down and you run away. And then you gotta stay away for at least 3 days, because the first day is the anger day.
Yeah.
The second day is the murderous rage day. The third day is the day that is the third one. So,
And you should probably still not sleep on the third day.
oh no. Or just, put like a bunch of NyQuil in her coffee and then make sure she's knocked out. And then you can take just 15-minute cat naps.
Well, plus yours is pregnant. You shouldn't be pushing her down. If she gets back up, that's your ass.
Well, I'm
So-
not going to be having a whole lot of oracles hanging out playing my homemade harps either. So,
Oh, that's right. You're okay. Melissa's a hippie, not an oracle.
that's right. That's right. She would be playing. How do you say? She would be playing with an enchanted hacky sack.
Wow. Wow. That is the most stomachable way I've ever heard you refer to your own testicles. Thank you.
That's weird because
The enchanted hacky sack.
yeah, that's the enchanted wrinkly hacky sack. So, what Project HAARP actually is, because it's spelled HAARP, so it's like the Old People Organization AARP, but with an H in front. So it's almost like, I don't know, maybe Harold. You say Harold, R a real person. That's how you remember HAARP is Harold R a real person.
Gotcha.
Or
not like
not
very
like
old people.
right. No.
Excuse me.
Harry are all repugnant persons. I mean, so you can. We're giving you these. They're not called pneumatic devices. What are they called? Numerative devices, I think, is what they're called.
Okay.
You can either remember it by those that we've just given, or by its actual name, which is the High Frequency Active Auroral
Yeah.
Research Program. So, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program.
Such a fun word, Aurora.
Auroral. Yeah, it's AURORAL. Auroral.
You know who has the most fun saying that word, or at least it sounds that way, and because his voice is so fucking beautiful to me, I have fun just hearing this man say that word.
Who's that?
Sir Patrick Stewart. Aurora. Just the way he says it. Aurora.
Everything Patrick Stewart says just sounds epic as fuck anyway, though, so...
Fuck, I love that guy. I wish we could have him as a guest on this show. He'd oh man, it'd be the best episode ever.
Have you ever seen the video of him and his wife in New York where he's eating a slice of pizza for the first time at 80 years old?
No, but I need that in my life.
It is... It's magical. It's like seeing some kind of wood nymph fairy fuck a unicorn. It is...
That sounds
crazy.
as magical as the video of DMX riding a roller coaster. that made my year.
As he... Okay, I see one of two possibilities for the reactions of DMX riding a roller coaster. One is he is scared shitless. Two, he is giddy like a baby.
It was number 2, and it sounded
wonderful.
exactly as you imagined it would. Here we go, Doc. It's coming. It's coming. We're going uphill, Doc. Here we go. Oh!
Oh my god. Okay.
It's so good.
So we all have video homework to watch for sure. So what HAARP actually is it's a scientific research program designed to study the ionosphere of the Earth and its effects on communication. It's essentially just a ridiculously large radio transmitter and antenna that is located in Alaska, designed to operate in the shortwave band. We'll get in
Now,
to what the different bands of radio wave communications kind of do, because there are very specific purposes for each.
now, which layer is the ionosphere? Like,
You know what? I haven't the foggiest, if that's okay.
yeah, sure.
I think it is a lower atmosphere layer. It's certainly not near space or anything like that. And I say that from what this actually deals with. So
Is it possibly one of our reflective layers?
it might be just from like the things that they try to do to the ionosphere. That does make sense. That it may be. Like I said, it's essentially just a large radio transmitter and antenna. The project began in 1993 and was actually ended in May of 2013. So technically, this thing that we're talking about and people still talk about was done with 5 years ago. It was initially funded by the DoD in conjunction with the University of Alaska Fairbanks, which is the university, the college that is in Alaska Fairbanks, and then also with the Air Force and with DARPA, which is the the future fucking the future technology people that make what's the name of that robot dog? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They're the ones that make these autonomous animal-like. What's it? Like God damn it! I really wish I could remember the fucking name of it. But this robot dog, basically, which really looks like a Metal Gear Solid kind of creature, where it's very much completely robotic while having some sort of organic animal look and feel to it. But DARPA stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Now they are not a government agency. They're a private corporation that works specifically on future technologies, basically. And the shit that we can see from DARPA right now is shit that they have been working on for 20 years, which means the shit that they're working on now is shit that will blow our mind in fucking 20 years. So that's another thing that that really brings a lot of the nutbags out about HAARP. I mean, like I said, you have the Air Force, the Navy, UAF, which is the University of Fairbanks, and then DARPA, all together.
It's also the United States Air Force.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Well, no, that's not UAF. Is it?
Well, it's USAF, yeah.
Yeah, so it was designed and built by BAE Advanced Technologies, or if you are one of the kids nowadays, by BAE Advanced Technologies, which means that your significant other has built this. And it's, like I said, its purpose was to analyze the ionosphere and investigate the potential for developing ionospheric enhancement technology for radio communications and surveillance.
Okay.
It is and was, even though all of these other, branches of the military and mostly military, funded this, it is and was a university-owned facility.
Wait a second. Wait. Does that not raise a red flag in itself?
That the government helped a university build a piece of scientific instrumentation?
No, that happens all the time. I mean the part about technologies. ionospheric technologies for defense and surveillance. Does that not raise like a number of red flags?
It doesn't say defense. It says radio communications
Oh, yeah.
and surveillance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all fucking spy shit in the ionosphere. So basically, we're talking about being able to, well, from what my conspirator brain processes, what we're talking about is like little nanobots that are light enough to just fucking position themselves and float in the ionosphere that allow basically assist in the bouncing of specific bandwidths of signals so that the NSA can fucking monitor goddamn everybody on the planet. Who knows what the fuck else? That was only the first portion of the description of this machine. Continue, sir.
I mean, if you're a moron and you only read the first paragraph of explanations, then yes, I would be scared.
Let unscare us then, sir. Unscare us. Because
Okay.
all I hear is government, scary, control, oh shit.
Oh, I get it.
fucking,
I get it.
you know.
Believe me, I get it. Because, you know what? I don't get it. I don't get it. Because it's being not close-minded exactly, I think, but I think it is being small-minded.
Well,
It's not being able to see past the horizon of what is known to even imagine the possibility of what could be without it being a terrifying what if.
come on now. Am I really that kind of person to you? Do
No,
I really
and
come off as
you're
that
really
kind
not.
of person?
You're really not. But I don't.
No, see, I'm the kind of person that has already thought about both sides enough that all I can see at this point is it's not really all I can see, but I can see the fact that every invention can be used against the main purpose, or can be used to everything can be used to hurt people, right? And this is not a hurt people sort of scenario.
I could
but-
take a plastic spork that is supposed to be used for one of the most pure, joyous, wonderful things on the face of the planet, and that is to eat.
Wait. Is that Popeye's red beans and rice?
You were so close. It's Popeye's mashed potatoes and gravy.
Damn.
So
Close.
But I could take that plastic spork that is supposed to be used for pure joy,
Yes.
and I could gouge your eyeballs out with it.
You totally could.
So it's less about the possibility of evil and more about the intent of the person wielding said weapon.
Originally, I mean, it's supposed to be that, yeah, but
Well, then,
knowing the
if
government,
it's supposed to be that, then why can't it just be that?
man, because motherfuckers are entirely nobody in the government leaves things just at okay, that's what its function is, unless it's unless it's like some simple shit. Otherwise, like, there's always a secondary plan for what we can do with this.
Well, Chris, how many times today has someone tried to gouge your eyeballs out with a plastic spork?
Physically tried, none, but probably
Okay.
thought about it at least 10
Okay,
10 times.
well, that's just because you just have one of those fucking faces where you're just like, God damn it, I'd love to fucking just, I wish I had a spork. But I'm gonna tell you now, like, we're gonna start off with what HAARP actually was intended to do, and did. It's a simplification. Because as I was telling Chris earlier, it's actually going through the papers on HAARP written by scientists that work there and things is like reading a schematic of a goddamn Swiss watch making machine that was made by the ancient goddamn Mexicans.
Wow, that dragged out a little bit. I didn't want to stop you in the middle of it, but that dragged out a little extra. Continue, though.
Yeah, sorry, but
yeah, nothing for that.
it's that weird though. It's a lot of technobabble that I'm not reading because I don't think you, our dear listener, would understand. But I don't fucking understand. So let's just go with this. This is why HAARP is just it is really fucking cool what it did. So we're going to talk about extremely low frequencies. Extremely low frequencies are more easily propagated through water. So they're used for communicating with like submarines and shit like that are below, hundreds of feet of water, which you can't just fucking scream into because, hey, it's not going to fucking work. But for these submarines to receive any kind of signal from the outside world, they have to have huge as in hundreds of miles long antennas that are specifically made and required to receive these extremely low frequency communications. And I like it as well because the abbreviation for it is ELF. They're ELF communications. But these fucking antennas are not only ridiculously costly, but ridiculously impractical. So, to solve the problem of needing these crazy fucking antennas, HAARP created basically a virtual ELF antenna way up in the sky in the ionosphere. So, not having to build a conventional antenna, which would mean 400 miles of utility poles supporting 800 miles of wire.
Good Lord.
But instead using science to create the equivalent of that in the upper atmosphere is really kind of fucking amazing when you think about it. Like, that's what this huge array of ground antenna do. Like, they shoot this into the sky, and then the sky can shoot it back down into the earth. So our scientists did this by having HAARP heat a specific spot in the ionosphere with a powerful beam of shortwave radio signals. The signals were then modulated at an ELF frequency, which resulted in the natural auroral electrojet currently being modulated. Not totally sure what that sentence means, but we'll continue.
Okay.
That in turn radiated at an ELF frequency. So they shot out shortwave radio signals, then they fucked with the frequency enough with them that they could actually turn shortwave into an ELF frequency using the ionosphere, which is fucking crazy. Then that ELF radiation could carry messages to submarines. The ELF waves generated by HAARP were still kind of weak enough that submarines would still need some sensitive equipment to detect them. So unless a person was actually floating around in the upper ionosphere, and that is, let's see, that's 62 miles high is the ionosphere.
Okay.
So unless you are up there specifically at the specific spot that HAARP was heating, there's literally fucking no danger to you. But anything to do with the capabilities of U.S. nuclear submarines, especially like how they send and receive messages, is classified. So the details of this were kept under wraps by the military. What fucking gets crackpots going more than anything is anything having to do with a new scientific method or process that is classified by the fucking military. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. This particular case is a little bit special, being the specific wording of the patent. I think is what makes this so special to conspirators and crackpots. But yeah, no, in that general statement, you are not wrong.
Because, I mean, what gets your conspiracy boner tingling more than the phrase secret military experiments?
Yeah.
Even if those secret military experiments are just trying to have an easier, better way to talk to submarines. Because
Right. Well,
you need to be able to talk to these fucking submarines.
yeah,
And
definitely.
if you can cheapen that process, if you can make it cost way less, it just make it more what's the fucking word I'm looking for here, where everything just works efficient. Yes, thank you, sir. That is the exact word. If you can make these communication methods more efficient, I mean, everything is better for it. You have less.
Got to spend money to make money, man.
And the thing that tells me, or that what my mind would tell me makes this super important, is that you have less, because it's like talking to someone on the space station. When you try to talk to somebody underwater, it's minutes delay time. So this tells me that if we could do this, it would be better for everyone on the planet, because there would be less miscommunication.
Everyone on the planet wants the information is leaked on how they did it,
Yeah, well,
because otherwise it wouldn't need to be secret.
Well, I think the whole secrecy about it was more in the first stages of it, as far as we have to develop the technology and then use it against our enemies, and then when they figure out what we're doing, then we can be like, oh, ha ha ha, this is how we did it, fuck you. Now that we're gonna give you the recipe to our secret concoction of how we've been fucking you over for these last few years, we've already got something else in the works. I will say that, I mean, once you can really understand what HAARP was being used for, or used to try and develop, you can start being afraid of the thing that you should actually fucking be afraid of, which are the intercontinental fucking ballistic missile systems that are carried by nuclear submarines, and not just the way they talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the whole thing about, what was it, World War II or whatever? I think it was 1 or 2. The whole fucking encrypted messages and shit. Yeah, of course. We're trying to talk to each other so you can't hear us in the first place. Granted, yes, we are trying to talk to things that are difficult to talk to, but what we're saying is the fucking problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's it.
Even in that case, it could be, we could be saying, hey, fire the nukes. Or we could be saying, hey, Johnson, your wife just had a baby.
Yeah.
And then Johnson's like, I haven't been home in 2 years. How did my wife have a fucking baby?
Exactly. I've been stationed in Korea for the last 2 years, sir.
And then luckily, though, they're like, no, not you, Johnson. Black Johnson.
Black Johnson.
And then Black Johnson's like, why I gotta be Black Johnson?
So wait, White Johnson's wife had a baby with Black Johnson?
Yes, is what I'm saying.
Shit.
Man, these are the days of our lives.
They're young and they're restless. They're so restless. This whole thing, though, I mean, really, here's the funny part about covert operations, in my mind, and this is the funny part to me about just people in general, and one of the things that just frustrates me about life in general is that I understand why all the secrecy and deceit. In strategy, if you look at it from a strategic standpoint and not from I'm people, I have the right to know what's going on in the country I live in. Right. Fuck you little fucking piece of shit, which I also am part of that group as far as they are concerned. But I get it. In a strategic viewpoint, from a strategic viewpoint, it all makes sense. But
yeah, because you person saying, I live in this country, I'm a citizen, I have a right to know what my government's up to. My rebuttal to that is, you can't fucking be trusted, asshole.
Right. You can't even be trusted not to cheat on your own wife or to fucking do your taxes properly, you piece of shit. Let alone to keep goddamn classified information. I mean, and what would you do with it anyway? You fucktard. What would you do? You gonna get mad and like, what? Not tip your next waitress? What?
Well, people like that weren't going to tip their waitresses anyway.
Agreed, but I mean that's the thing. Like, what is you knowing what they're doing? How is that helping you? Unless you are part of said military faction or group that now has to be taught how to use this equipment, or you know what I mean. Otherwise, you don't really fucking need to know. I mean, I get that part. I really do. It. You know, for these people that can't even drive a goddamn four-wheel vehicle and merge properly going 60 miles an hour, how the fuck, what are you going to do with this information?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe I mean the only thing about a conspiracy theorist that I can possibly think the urge to just know is so fucking strong would be peace of mind, just
True.
to say, okay, I get, you know, thank God I'm not crazy, this is actually happening.
It's that, and then how do I prepare for the
Exactly.
worst?
Because now we're gonna actually get into the conspiracy theories of HAARP, and this shit goes deep and goes crazy quick.
Oh yeah.
They really started out. The conspiracy theories on HAARP specifically started out on fucking Coast to Coast AM.
Shouts out.
Indeed. By one Nick Begich, which is Begich, or Begich, I guess.
Sure.
So, Nick, and he's a junior.
Say something, Nick.
He's
What you got?
son of a U.S. representative, and
Wow.
was...
Wait a second. Wait.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I gotta pause you right there. That has one of those strangely ambiguous rings to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it an insult? Is it a compliment? You son of a U.S. representative. I think I'm going to start using that. Can I use that? Do I have your
please.
permission, Mr. Rambo?
Oh, you sir can use away as long as I get detailed graphs on how it works.
Good deal.
Because I want to know how many people are like, oh, you motherfucker, no, you didn't. And I want to know how many people are just like, wait, did he just say that? Because those are kind of the two that I think you would get.
Yep. I shall tally and report to you my findings.
But Mr. Nick Jr. here, Nick Jr. Was
Nice.
the first to show Maya the Bee and David the Gnome, as well as kind of being the first dude to bring up these fucking theories about HAARP.
You know, they used to call me Doc McStuffins when I used to strip down in over in Prague.
Yeah, I don't believe that for even half a second. No. I would believe that they called you, what was it, Sharon, Lois, and Graham's Elephant Show.
It's fucked up.
It's actually pretty
they really
good,
used
though.
to call me Banana in Pajamas. The Banana in Pajamas.
Oh, man. Nick Jr.
Awesome.
Oh, childhood.
I don't even know which of those shows anymore was actually on Nick Jr. I'm just pulling them right out of my ass. Because those were all way past my childhood.
Yeah.
Nick Jr. itself was way past my childhood.
Oh, come on, man. You're telling me that when you were 11 years old and you had to stay home sick, you didn't fucking turn on Nick Jr. and just be like...
There wasn't a Nick
it's
Jr.
good
when
to be
we
a
were
kid.
11, dude.
Sure there was. There was a Nick Jr.
No.
when I was like 8.
No, it was only Nickelodeon for a long time. Nick
No.
Jr. didn't come out until...
I'm not saying like Nicktoons, like Rugrats and shit. I'm talking about fucking like, you know, Nick Jr. proper, man. Like, you
I
know,
was
like
still watching like Double Dare when I was...
Well, that didn't
8.
come on until early afternoon. Was Double Dare?
Oh yeah.
You know when they ruined Double Dare is when they made Family Double Dare, because who wants to see a bunch of stupid parents with their perms and their thick-ass glasses fail at finding the goddamn flag under the pancake It's right there. There,
It
you
is.
just
It's
look
right there.
It's
You gotta
always
dig
just
in
right there.
all the way up in that nose
It's
to get the
so,
flag.
oh man, the flag's right there. We all see it on TV. How can you not? Anyway, before I go on a murderous rampage.
Sorry. I derailed
No,
you.
not because of you. It's because of the nose and the flag and it's a whole thing. I'm working through it in therapy. So he, Mr. Nick was kind of the first guy to bring up the conspiracy theories about HAARP when he was on Coast to Coast in 1996 with tales of HAARP's supposed weather control capabilities.
Wow. That was 22 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time. He went on to build somewhat of a career out of Project HAARP fear-mongering by authoring, and I read references to this book in every single article I found. Not a single article said anything about what was inside the book.
Oh.
I love it. Name of the book, and this is just pure genius on either his or his editor's part, is Angels Don't Play This HAARP.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty clever, actually.
Right?
So many connotations going on.
So the book claims, among other things, that HAARP is one of the tools used by the quote-unquote elite to manipulate and disturb human mental processes through pulsed radio frequency radiation over large geographical areas.
Okay.
Do you want me to read that? You want to go read that question again? I mean, that sentence again?
Please.
We can maybe pick it apart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was used by the elite to manipulate and disturb human mental processes through pulsed radio frequency radiation over large geographical areas.
Okay.
So, Mr. Nick Jr. thinks that Project HAARP is a brainwashing or brain manipulating or mind controlling apparatus that uses pulsed radio frequency, which I don't think he knows what those words sat together mean, and radiation there as well. So pulsed radio frequency radiation, which is weird because the active part of radio frequency is /R, the frequencies themselves, not the leftover radiation from them, over large geographical areas, so just big expanses. Then other people started to pick up this narrative, most notably, this is actually the big reason why I'm sad that Rob isn't here, by Jesse Ventura, who on his terrible television show from years ago literally demanded entry into the HAARP facilities in 2009 so he could self-investigate the rumors, and was then turned away because fuck you, Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, but at that time it was still a government sort of thing, though.
Yeah, well, technically yes, technically no. It was government funded, but privately run. So, but either way, both had complete authority to say no. Who are you to demand shit? You know what I mean?
Private property, yes, and that's fucking I really, because I don't honestly know who the fuck our audience actually is, I don't know if it's necessary to go into explaining why the government chooses private companies instead of their own people versus, you know what I mean?
I think a quick
reasons.
explanation would be worth saying, just,
Okay, well, it's as simple as a Freedom of Information Act. You cannot file a Freedom of Information Act on a private company.
Right.
Simple.
Because a private company is, for all intents and purposes, a private citizen. That's like saying, I'm going to file a Freedom of Information Act against Chris to find out what he did last Thursday, and Chris, being a private citizen, can tell me to go fuck myself.
Right.
Because
you
that's
can't
his right.
demand the recipe for Coca-Cola.
I mean,
can't
you can,
fucking do it.
but they're not going to give it to you.
Exactly. Because they are a private company, and you're not allowed to take their fucking product and take it somewhere else. And it makes sense for the government to do that because, yeah, you can fucking now, this is the part that infuriates me, because if you're gonna pull the wool over our eyes, then stop us from being able to see through it. If the wool is translucent, it doesn't fucking help. It's basically just a big fuck you, is really all it is. Like, if you're telling me I can file for the Freedom of Information Act to get to demand to know what the fuck is going on, and when you finally, like, after 10 years worth of delays in the in producing said information under the guises of, oh well, we can't find it, or oh well, a plane crashed into us and now we lost a bunch of files, and and then when they finally pop up with the fucking information, it's like one page out of a 1,000 documents that they're supposed to have, and goddamn everything on it is blacked out. Like, really? That right there should, I mean, I don't know how that doesn't infuriate judges. It should. I mean, they're obviously being paid off. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
You can't say that they're obviously being paid off.
I would say that there has to be a good reason why a judge would go through the motions and not be completely infuriated by that. If he has any sort of power whatsoever to force them to do anything, that right there should be a fucking telltale fuck you. I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm doing what I want. That's obvious.
I think that judges, in particular, and especially Supreme Court judges, know the game. And I would go as far as saying that they expect what they know they're going to get, and it's no surprise to them when they receive
but where does it end?
A 5-page memo that is part of a 3,000-page treatise, and that 90% of it's redacted. It doesn't end, Chris.
You're literally showing up to court to take a shit on the rule books right in front of everybody. Like, that's what's going on here.
But that's why there's also a chain of command. There's literally always a little guy to throw under the moving bus. Always.
It doesn't. But see, that's the thing. That's another unnecessary step.
But it's not necessarily always nefarious.
You don't need to throw somebody under the bus if you clearly, blatantly don't give a fuck in the first place.
Well, you don't need to always throw somebody under a bus when a lot of times there's someone clumsy enough to trip and fall under one.
Yeah, I mean, that's true enough too.
So, after Mr. Ventura was all Mr. Ventura'd out because he's a goddamn Mr. Ventura, the rumors still persisted, even with literally no evidence to support them whatsoever. In 2011, there was a retired Russian general who told the news media that he suspected powerful American radars in Alaska caused the failure of Russia's Phobos Grunt Mars rover space mission. However, the Russians themselves actually ruled this out because there are people that know what they're talking about that aren't Russian generals talking about space. So the people that actually work at the Russian NASA, whatever that's called, it's probably called Nesosky or something like that. They were like, no, you're an idiot and you should shut up because that's not what happened. So, and then since then, I mean, HAARP's, its appeal to the, let's call them reality challenged, is really only grown. It's it's basically next to fucking flat Earth is equally both believed, touted, worshipped, and equally as fucking stupid.
All right, let me throw in just one little tidbit here. It's another one of those things, like we were just talking about the catch-22 or the fucking like obvious contradiction to itself, like blatant fuck you. Okay, so professionals, scientists, people that hold PhDs and shit like that in their fields and respected and all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of like the Better Business Bureau in the sense that if you don't pay them to be a member of their cool guy squad, like, you're not the most trusted in your field, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's kind of how the Better Business Bureau works. Like, everybody thinks, ooh, you can report this company and they're gonna be fucking reprimanded. It's bullshit. You only get like a fucking 70% rating from the Better Business Bureau.
But not always. Not like
always.
Literally not
No.
always. You can't throw out a definitive like that, because
No, you're right.
There does, especially in things like business, which can literally mean anything.
Yeah.
There has to be some form of checks and balances. There has to be something.
On paper, of course, there
right.
does.
And yes, there's corruption everywhere, and of course it's not gonna work all the time, and really most likely not gonna work most of the time, but there has to be something,
Well, of course, and on paper, yes, and that's just to stop the people from fucking throwing a much bigger fit than we do now. Okay, so but here's my point though, is that all of these professionals in their field, if they're not recognized as the cool guys or the government trusted scientists in those fields, then they're basically crackpots if they say anything at all that doesn't vibe with what the government's putting out there.
Right. I absolutely 100%. I hear that argument, and it is a valid argument a lot of the time. Of course, just like anything else, you can't use that as a definitive. It's not a 100% catch-all, because not every agency is created equal, nor run as equal, and some have more integrity than others. The lots have less, but even a broken clock is right. What is it? 7 times a day? Wait. 1, 2, 3. Clocks are those things with the sticks in it that tells you when to poop and eat, right?
Right. That's what I use mine for.
So, I mean, the government, as well-oiled, or we should change that to greased, as it is, no one is ever 100% evil or 100% pure. So
fair enough.
even the most dastardly of organization, as far as except for the Westboro Baptist Church, fuck those faggots. Yeah, I said the F word because they think that it's hateful, and it is hateful, and they try to use it in a terrible way. So I will call them that, because that is not a word for homosexuals. That is a word for stupid assholes that think that picketing Comic-Con with God hates fags is going to change the world to look through their stupid goddamn shit-tinted glasses. So they are terrible and the worst all the time.
May they be stricken from our planet.
Indeed. But I say we give the benefit of the doubt until we see otherwise for most other things. You know what I mean? It's like you can even expect the worst. But I don't think that it's either fair or productive to completely make up your mind until you have the God's honest truth of the matter in front of you.
Well, I think productive is a really good choice of words there.
Because if it's not productive, then you're going nowhere.
Agreed.
So,
it's not doing you any good.
So I'm sorry if I derailed what you were saying there, but
No, not at all. I mean, it's right. It's kind of right on, subject as well. So
well, this next part that I wanted to get to here is it's actually it's cool because this is like what you said earlier about the patent. There are plenty of people who believe that HAARP was secretly patented in 1987 by American physicist Bernard J. Eastland. His patent that was entitled Method and Apparatus for Altering a Region in
shit. Sorry.
You okay?
I will be.
Oh, take a deep breath. Oh.
Sorry.
Now was that just a choking cough explosion, or was that an extracurricular coughing explosion?
Oh, it was super curricular.
Oh, it wasn't even
But-
extracurricular. It was goddamn mandatory.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to explode like that. It wasn't a huge one. It's not like I was trying to just
Yeah, you weren't trying to blow your mind. I get it. So
respectful.
Bernard J. Eastland's patent was entitled Method and Apparatus for Altering a Region in the Earth's Atmosphere, Ionosphere, and or Magnetosphere. Now, this patent is often cited by conspiracy theorists as just fucking ironclad evidence that HAARP's destructive power is a 100% proven fact. And really, that's because conspiracy theorists love quoting patents, which is super weird to me because a patent isn't a thing. It's technically the idea for a thing. It doesn't certify that an invention has been created from said idea or ever will, or even if it even worked. But
Well, no, but it has to be a working idea.
no, it doesn't. It has to be a viable theory of a working idea. That is it.
Something that actually works on paper.
But on paper only. So this thing may not ever work otherwise.
But still,
I could show you some patents that are just bug fuck crazy. That I mean, the patent office is kind of like summer school where you pay your fee, you get your B. Like a patent office is you pay the patent cost and you own the patent. It's really fucking weird. But so his patent described an idea for a gigantic transmitter, hundreds of times more powerful than HAARP itself, whose huge electric power generation requirements were fueled by Alaskan natural gas, which is why it was in Alaska. His patent, not why HAARP is there. And it speculated on possible ramifications and potential future developments for things like magnetotellurgic surveys, local weather modification, military applications, and anti-missile defense. His 1987 patent was initially classified, probably due to potential military uses, but was declassified in 1991 due to some pretty obvious impracticalities. Yet, this just further convinces the the conspiracy crowd that they're hiding proof of evil fucking plans in plain sight, just for the awake and initiated to stumble across and find. In later years, Eastland claimed that HAARP was built using his idea, which is this says here, a notion roundly rejected by HAARP management as quote unquote crazy.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's mighty specific.
Yeah, because it doesn't. Like, this guy had, a roundabout idea about charging the ionosphere or magnetosphere to change the weather and shit. And so he thinks because the act of charging the ionosphere was then carried through by someone else, he's like, oh, they fucking stole that from me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, because your shit was bug fuck, and our stuff is somewhat grounded in reality. So, anywho.
I guess of all the things on this fucking beautiful planet that you could fucking bugs would be about the craziest.
Yeah.
Agree.
I mean, because you'd have to find a way to hold them down.
Yep.
And then, really, how do you not kill them?
Yeah, true.
It's sad, really.
And if there's a bug big enough to actually fuck without killing, I don't want to meet it personally.
I mean, they have like tarantulas and things like that, but we're not going to go into the actual we're not going to go into the specifics of how or why.
Awful.
We're just going to move on to the fact that it seems that there are so many things about HAARP that allow it to be a pretty big catch-all. Like a lot of these conspiracy theorists, basically any antenna that they can't understand has to, of course, do something with HAARP. Like any weird-looking antenna, such as a radome, which is used at airports to track aircraft, a NexRad Doppler radar used by meteorologists, and even just like big satellite dishes that are used to receive and broadcast satellite communications, can and is interpreted by these crackpots as being connected to HAARP and their weather control / mind control. These are just ordinary fucking antennas, but are purported by these people to have basically fucking magical powers. The way that they think that these things work, they defy the laws of physics, and they operate on frequencies that they weren't designed for. They can inexplicably alter the weather. They can kill crops. They can cause floods, tornadoes, earthquakes. And these are radio antennas and such.
Right, but still, if there's anything that Hollywood has shown us or has taught us, it's that the one kid in the group or the one guy in the group who's a scientist or an engineer, he can fucking modify anything to do anything.
Oh, yeah.
Turn anything. Fucking MacGyver and shit, right? So,
yep.
That's the thing. And that's another thing that upsets me about this whole fucking the world of scientists and the whole mainstream versus who are the other ones that are considered crackpots. It's not so much, a lot of times it's not so much what they say or what they believe in or what they're trying to get other people to believe. It's that they are not considered part of the cool kids group who will go along with the agenda, so they must be labeled as crackpots. And that comes into play, that shows up again, not only in just blatant shit like court, but it shows up again in shit like this, where you get people that are going, okay, yeah, these are all ordinary satellites, but that guy, he may or may not be leaving out information that's relevant, but not necessarily like directly relevant. So yes, I could turn this piece of machinery into this. Yes, I could take a fucking radio flyer wagon and put a bathtub on top of it and fucking seal it shut with some caulk, and fucking now I have a soapbox racer that weighs way too much and will probably kill some kids. You know what I mean? Yes, I could do that. But that's not what it's for, and that's not what it's being used for, and yada, yada, yada. So you got people that say, okay, why the fuck would any, they talk shit about SETI. So they say, why the fuck would any advanced alien race who is thousands or millions of years older than us be broadcasting in radio signals? Okay, well, what they're not telling you, and that makes sense, to a normal person. Well, radio, I don't know. Yeah, why would they still watch regular TV? Dumb. Right? That's all we think about radio signals. But radio signals themselves are the widest of all the bandwidths. Like, there's so many.
And they can travel infinitely.
Right, and it all can be tuned in whatever to be very specific to what they need done. So yes, it's entirely possible that if a fucking advanced race wanted to contact some species that they knew damn well wasn't as fucking advanced as they were, yeah, of course they would fucking broadcast in radio signals.
Exactly. So, just because they only speak in let's say fart melodies that are just love is a battlefield.
Yep.
Everybody does all day is fart love is a battlefield to each other, but they're so advanced that they know that when I'm farting love is a battlefield to Chris, I'm actually saying, hey Chi-Chi, how's your day been? And Chris farts back a perfect rendition of Love is a Battlefield. And he says, we are strong. We are young. Heartache to heartache, we stand. No promises, no demands. Both of us knowing.
You get me.
Love is a battlefield. But we can't understand that shit. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's impressive, and you can dance to it, but...
It's slightly creepy that you're staring right into each other's eyes, both singing Pat Benatar.
With your butts.
With your butts, exactly.
But,
man.
The way that they can relay that to us in a way that we can understand, it's just like how math is a universal language. It has to be, because... Math is the only thing that is a constant.
Yep. It has to be universal. It has to be.
Because math is...
And pasta.
Yes, well...
I think everything loves noodles.
Rigatoni in particular, though.
I mean, lo mein? Are you kidding me?
Man. Dude, I had some... what's the big old fat ones? The big old fat...
Capitelli?
No, Japanese noodle.
Oh,
big old fat one.
Shit, I forget what they're
looks
called.
like worms, man. Oh, it's so good. Melissa got some in her soup the other night at Saki. Oh my god. Anyway, so to further the kind of talk on these fucking mystical radio waves that no one knows how they work. How could we possibly?
Because you don't have a fucking PhD, you dipshit.
Let's move on to fucking apparently they think that HAARP works in conjunction with cell phone towers now. So popping up everywhere and have been for a long fucking time now are these giant ugly fucking cell phone towers, because people have cell phones, and so more are being installed in places all the fucking time. In rural places, in suburban neighborhoods, all this stuff. To people that believe in the HAARP fucking craziness, it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that more and more people have fucking cell phones and need better fucking wireless coverage and all this shit. Instead, they claim that these towers somehow work in conjunction with a long ago deactivated communication system called the Ground Wave Emergency Network, or GWEN for short. Somehow, GWEN relays HAARP signals, despite the fact that HAARP, GWEN, and mobile wireless services were designed to work on 3 completely different frequencies. Cell phone towers, really any radio towers, have gotten shoehorned into a colossal unified conspiracy theory conveniently involving every kind of fringe craziness you can think of, including chemtrails, vaccines, yogis, alien implants, and Tesla woo. I don't know what Tesla woo is. I furthered my link clicking into this.
Excuse me.
And it just brought me to Tesla, and then from there, let's see, I'll tell you exactly what it brought me to from that, because I found another kind of woo within
Woo, like
within
W,
Tesla.
woo, W-U?
WOO. So now from Tesla, I found quantum woo. So quantum woo is the justification of irrational beliefs by an obfuscatory reference to quantum physics.
Obfuscatory?
Yes.
Wow.
Buzzwords like energy field, probability wave, or wave-particle duality are used to magically turn thoughts into something tangible in order to directly affect the universe. This results in such foolishness as the law of attraction or quantum healing. Some have turned quantum woo into a career, such as Deepak Chopra, who often
Chopra.
Yes, who often presents ill-defined concepts of quantum physics as proof for God and other magical thinking. So that leads me to believe that Tesla woo is, people see shit that Tesla thought about, mostly thought exercises, really, that they then are like, yeah, for sure, that, like, totally that. You know what I mean?
That definition went pretty well with what we're talking about here. And for the record, obfuscate is to confuse, bewilder, or stupefy, to make obscure or unclear, or to darken, figuratively.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I like it a lot. It's hard to say, though.
Yeah.
Especially obfuscatory.
Yeah, it's not one you can just slip in without somebody going, wow, you really went for that one, huh?
That's what she said.
Yeah.
So
That was
now
too perfect.
we're gonna get into the wonderful the meat and potatoes of what HAARP is kind of the famous conspiracy on it, and this is like you and I were talking about earlier, is the what Cobra Commander would be using it for, or maybe Dr. Claw,
That fucking
or
guy.
I don't think Shredder had the had really. I don't think Shredder.
No, Baxter
wanted,
Stockman was his nerd, and he fucking shot himself. With,
and they weren't into like destroying the world. They just wanted to kill the Ninja Turtles.
Right. It
Which
took
is
over
weird
the
when you think
cities.
about it.
Like,
But this is the part where we talk about how HAARP supposedly alters weather and creates earthquakes.
now, wait. Here's a funny thing that I laugh at now. Now that I'm older and I know more, And this is another reason that I like Japanese cartoons so much better than American cartoons. American cartoons are just so far dumbed down, it's retarded. But so the shit, I completely just lost my thought.
Why you like Japanese cartoons more than American cartoons?
No, it really wasn't to do with that. It was shit. I totally never mind. Never mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, if it comes back, just jump in with it. So, we're going to start off with a quote here from Secretary of Defense William S. Cohen from April 28th, 1997. He says, "Others are engaging even in an eco-type of terrorism, whereby they can alter the climate, set off earthquakes, volcanoes remotely through the use of electromagnetic waves." Now, HAARP conspiracy assholes often cite this quote as evidence that electromagnetic waves are somehow, shrugging shoulders, used to wage eco-terrorism against individuals and populations. But if you look at the original transcript, you can plainly see that Cohen was talking about the time and resources wasted by false or imaginary terrorist threats. He used the eco-type of terrorism quote from Alvin Toffler, who was a futurist writer, as an example of false and imaginary threats. Crackpots just simply quote his remarks, just hoping that you don't ever look at the original source and see how it's being misrepresented.
Man, everybody's a lawyer.
Right. So, this quote here is actually just attributed to some guy with a blog, and I love that. How much of our bizarre weather, along with sporadic schools of beached dolphins exhibiting brain hemorrhage, are the result of careless black budget projects that fly absolutely below everyone's radar? Well, the answer really seems to be none. Like, thoughts like this are just like gross misrepresentations of military research papers, such as a 96 paper entitled "Weather as a Force Multiplier: Owning the Weather in 2025." That's a pretty fucking scary title, right?
It is.
Well, if you take the time to actually read it, what you'll find is that a lot of the creative what ifs and things like that are, speculation that future technologies, none of them HAARP by the way, that may someday be developed could enable the Air Force to deny an enemy the ability to conduct satellite surveillance by obscuring the target with clouds and haze. Or multiple disclaimers such as, "This report contains fictional representations of future situations/scenarios, and views expressed in this report are those of the authors and do not reflect the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, Department of Defense, or the United States government." And the paper even concludes by spelling things out in black and white: artificial weather technologies do not currently exist.
Huh. Right.
But
okay. Well,
they will see a paper entitled "Weather as a Force Multiplier: Owning the Weather in 2025" and think to themselves, holy shit, they do. So, but
that's that goes back to, and I remember what I was gonna say now too. But that just kind of, that thought process goes back to my whole thing about you didn't go to school for this. What the fuck are you gonna do with this information, other than possibly give it away if somebody fucking picks you up and threatens to kill your kids?
Yeah,
Fuck.
exactly. Because I mean, you can't make it, you can't defend against it. But if you knew about it, people that could do both those things will most likely cut your penis off to get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm like, I'ma just like I need milk. I'm gonna go to the store today.
Yep.
That's what my day was like.
All I do is Facebook and fucking phone games and shit. Like,
and you know what? Chris and I, we still have our peni.
That is true. I can do my podcast research. That's the other thing I do, but not much of it. Not much of it.
Well, those are the better episodes anyway. So,
so the
real
other
quick,
thing I was going to say though.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, is that now in my increasingly older age, as I watch cartoons and just shows in general that are like superhero or whatever based where they have to have like an evil lair or stuff like that. I don't look at it like, oh, that's awesome so much anymore, as I look at it as show me the paperwork on that property. How the fuck did you figure out how to get all of that shit in there underground, get it built, get the permits for it, and run electricity? How much electricity do you need to run that? And you're trying to tell me you are off the grid? Are you shitting me? You're not secret.
But you see, that's why a lot of these secret lairs are built in volcanoes. Just a quick review of what we've just talked about. A very strong vape hit, indeed.
That was only in your ear. I was facing as far away from the tablet as possible.
No worries. So
just like this fart. Oh no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just fucking with you.
So a 3.6 million watt shortwave radio transmitter may sound impressive, but the ionosphere is fucking huge and kind of unaccommodating. So the ELF modulated waves created by HAARP shortwave transmitter can only be detected using very, very sensitive instruments. And the constant stream of charged particles from the sun that hit the earth during the day makes detecting them something like trying to see the light from a candle a mile away in like full day bright ass sunlight. So all of this is to kind of say that HAARP's ELF radio waves can't fucking create weather changes or earthquakes because they are made for a very specific thing, and the instrumentation that fucking records it was made just to do this. It's not strong enough to change the Earth's weather. It is, it's strong, and if you were in the area of it, up in the ionosphere, it would hurt you like a motherfucker, possibly even kill you. But you cannot, you simply cannot control the Earth's weather. It is too strong a force to fall for your bullshit, basically. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, so
we can blow levees.
We are gonna
stuff like that. But
yeah, exactly. We can affect shit down here, but up there, it's a different, not even a different ball game. It's a different ball. It's just like instead of a baseball game, right?
Layer
instead of
the
a baseball
fucking
game,
atmosphere.
It's a goddamn. It's like 6,000 of the little rubbery super balls that you only got to bounce twice before they went under the couch and you never saw them again. That's how different it is.
That void.
So,
can you imagine all the shit you would find in that void?
All my socks are there. I know that fucking much.
Black ones. Only black ones for me, though. The sock goblin travels. Some bitch.
Okay. In the past few years, I've been buying these ridiculously awesome, comfortable socks that have like the elastic around like the mid foot as well. You know what I mean? Like they're ankle socks, but they hug that, and they're so soft and comfy. And for some reason, not for some reason, the socks are labeled left and right because they are specifically stitched at the toe to fit a left and right foot. I have so many right socks, so little left.
The sock goblin only once left, huh? I wonder
It's
if he's
so
got a peg
fucked.
leg.
I'm gonna buy him like little peg socks, like little peg covers. Maybe help him out. He'll help me out. All right, so I wanted to end this wonderful roller coaster ride that we've called HAARP, I guess, with this. This is from this is an article from October 31st, 2016, from Coffee County, Georgia.
Oh, been there.
Two South Georgia men are accused of plotting domestic terrorism based on bizarre conspiracy theories. Coffee County Sheriff's investigators arrested Michael Mansell, who was 30, and James Dryden, Jr., even, who was 22, on Thursday. Officials said the suspects planned to penetrate a research facility in Alaska that's been the subject of several conspiracy theories. Investigators said the massive amount of arsenal seized looked like something out of a movie, where a small army was headed to war. But Coffee County investigators said the two Douglas men collected dozens of weapons as part of a plan to attack the High-Frequency Active Aural Research Facility, or HAARP. The former U.S. Air Force lab is now owned by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. We were really, really concerned about all the arsenal that they were piling up, said Coffee County Sheriff Doyle Wooten. 4 AR-15 rifles, 4 Glock handguns, a Remington rifle, and 2,000 to 3,000 rounds of ammunition were found on the 200 block of Jim Road in Coffee County. Investigators also seized radios, 2 flak jackets, $5,500, and a small amount of marijuana.
Oh.
Why that was thrown in, I don't know, but I love it. Investigators discovered the plot after starting to investigate Mansell for possible drug sales. A local gun shop also alerted investigators to the fact that Mansell was trying to buy a large amount of weapons. He's never known to be violent. This past 4 to 6 weeks, he just snapped and just changed. His whole personality changed, said Wooten. Wooten said Mansell plotted with Dryden to destroy HAARP because they believe conspiracy theories claiming the facility manipulates the weather, controls minds, and even traps the souls of people.
Wow.
Officials at HAARP told us that they actually study the Earth's atmosphere. They said they've had threats before, but nothing of this magnitude. Also, are really grateful to the law enforcement agencies in their... Also, are really grateful to the law enforcement agencies there in Georgia for following up on this tip and their work in making these arrests, said University of Alaska Fairbanks spokesperson Marmaine Grimes. HAARP officials have security in place to prevent such attacks, but with this, Mansell and Dryden are charged with selling methamphetamines, possession of marijuana, possession of weapons during the commission of a crime. Mansell is also charged with use of telecommunication device in committing or facilitating a felony. More charges are pending. So,
if you're
yes.
working on, like, the idea for a crime, you're not allowed to have weapons?
Not working on the idea for a crime. It is actual active planning of said crime. Yes.
Okay, so if I got the schematics for a building, I'm not allowed to have a gun.
If you are actively speaking to someone else about how you are going to use these schematics to harm or rob or whatever the building, yes, that's not okay.
Huh.
Right?
That's weird. Even if you have, like, let's say your own all licenses and all that kind of shit for said weapons, I'm not allowed, if I'm planning a crime where I'm not even going to use said weapons, I still am not allowed to have them?
Dude, what are you, fucking Robert? What's with all these questions?
I don't know. It's just a curious thing. It just seems like one of those things where like, hey, let's tack one more thing on. Okay, this sounds believable.
Well, I mean, if it's a law on the books, why not throw it at them? Because I will say at the end here that police say that the men confessed that, and this is in quotes, God told them to go blow up this machine that upkept its soul. It kept the souls so that the souls could be released. God told them to go blow up this machine that kept souls so that the souls could then be released. On that note, I will say...
Excuse me. Sorry.
No, quite all right. On that note, I will say, for now, that was the story of Project HAARP, HAARP, and the end.
So friggin' cool.
What'd you think of Project HAARP? And the funny thing is there's a lot of conspiracy theory that I just fucking did not have the time to get to. I mean, there's so much more about specific weather tragedies that have happened that are just flat out blamed on HAARP. There are things about it being able to change the ionosphere into a giant lens in which they can project anything that they want, much like Project Bluebeam projecting the end of days into the sky. There's much more on how it is a mind control device, how it can see through anything and watch you masturbate, and then they all just point and laugh the whole time. It's like there's so much more on HAARP.
Well, maybe we'll have to do like an update episode one of these days.
Yeah, maybe. Because I will say now that the Air Force and the Navy and DARPA and Bay Technologies have withdrawn their responsibility to it, and HAARP is exclusively now owned by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And
so they want you to think.
Sure. And once a year, they hold a completely open house. You can go to Project HAARP. You can see what it does, what it's doing. They'll show you, the things that they're working on, all that stuff. So if you're really interested in this, fucking find out when that next open house is and make a trip to Fairbanks, Alaska. You fucking loser.
You fucking loser.
And on that note,
do your fucking homework before you go, though, so you're not sounding like some dipshit standing around.
Is this the place where them aliens helped them guys build that dog that one time that I remembered in that dream that I had?
Talking about the tour of Chicken Pizza.
Oh, God, am I ever.
Chicken Pizza.
Oh, on that delicious note.
Yeah, I am hungry.
I think I'm going to have to say thank you, one and all, for listening to another God, Have I Lost My Faith in Humanity episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
The UFOs, the conspiracies, and Moitas.
Thank you, Chris. Rob, we miss you.
Thank you, Jason.
Maybe let your wife do the whole football thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's probably better at it. Ooh.
Just saying.
Gauntlet thrown.
Just saying.
Countdown. 3,
Oh, man.
2, 1. Bye, kiddies.
Until next time, same weird channel, same weird place.
Yeah. My bedroom. At night. Bye.
Burundi, Sudan, Malawi, Togo, Spanish, Sahara is gone. Nigeria, Chad, Liberia, Egypt, Benin, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria. The home in Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Bahrain, Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Korea, Mauritania, Transylvania, Malacca, Liechtenstein, Maldives, Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan.
Pants off, dance off.